Peace and blessings, family. This is Brother Mike X. Welcome to another clip from my YouTube channel, Brother Mike X Speaks. Tonight, I want to talk to you about our overall condition on a collective level in the society. And I want to highlight and bring some understanding and clarity to what sticks us in the condition that we find ourselves in collectively in the society. The biggest thing that sticks us, that hinders us from being able to move forward, is our aversion to seeking knowledge, wisdom, understanding, truth. And there's various reasons for why, we've been tricked into developing this aversion to seeking knowledge, wisdom, understanding, truth. Ever since we came to these shores, and I really don't want to make this a history lesson, but I have to say for the record that ever since we came to these shores, the people who brought us here, who dragged us here, they've done everything that they can to separate us from our birthright, being children of God, having the ability to learn, to grow, in consciousness and understanding, to where we can make wise choices and decisions that would give us ownership over our lives and over the direction that we want to head in as a distinct racial ethnic group on this planet, from making it punishable by death for us to be able to read and write. They basically cut us off from the power that God gives, to human beings to be able to grow, in wisdom and understanding, making him a unique creature on this planet. And so a lot of us became beasts of burden, creatures trapped in fleshly motivations. And, like Malcolm said, history is a people's memory. Without it, they are demoted to the level of the lower animals. And this is where we find ourselves today, collectively, because too many of us, like I said, have this extreme aversion to, again, seeking knowledge, wisdom, understanding, and truth. I was building with my students the other day, and, we were talking about Black history, and we were talking about knowledge, and I was trying to explain to them why it's so important for them to open themselves up to the never-ending pursuit of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, truth. And so, as everybody knows, you say the phrase knowledge is, and they said power. And I'm saying, yeah, correct. Even though some would argue that, knowledge is not indeed power, but knowledge is indeed potential power. Because, you can have a whole lot of knowledge and refuse to take it to the level of applying that knowledge, of practicing that knowledge, in your everyday life, in your everyday thoughts and decisions and actions that you take. And I would agree on that, but, let's stick with the story. So yeah, I said knowledge is, and they said power. I said, okay, correct. So what about ignorance? What is the definition of ignorance? And they couldn't tell me. So I told them that the classic definition of ignorance is the lack of knowledge, And then I said, well, let's take us a step further. What is knowledge again? They said power. So then I said, well, if I'm telling you that the classic definition of ignorance is the lack of knowledge, what is, knowledge again? Power. So ignorance is the lack of power. Light bulb moment, lack of power to do what? Lack of power to take control, over our thoughts, over our actions, over the way we run our lives, over the way we relate to other people, over the way we confront the conditions, the situations in our neighborhoods. Many of us have been taught to, the other thing about knowledge, let me say this, is knowledge is not just power or potential power. Knowledge is also responsibility, and a lot of us have, wandered around in ignorance for so long, that we've been immersed in an expectation of dependency, dependency for other groups, other races, other ethnicities, the government, and those who, dependency upon them to take care of us on various levels, as far as our food, as far as our clothing, as far as our shelter, as far as dealing with, the urban blights of, crime, the urban blights of poverty, and all of the other issues that we face. We've come to, because we've wandered around in ignorance for so long, we've gotten to a level that for many of us, we're stuck in a state of dependency on others to take care of those things for us. And we have no faith, a lot of us, in, seeking knowledge, and using knowledge to improve our condition as individuals, as men, as women, as black men, as black women, as husbands, as fathers, and this traps us, it sticks us, some of us have grown to the level of not only being ignorant, because let me say this, I don't have any problem with someone, being ignorant, lacking knowledge. I don't have any problem with it, myself, the more I study and the more I learn, the more I realize and recognize, of how much I don't know, of how much that I'm actually still ignorant to. Particularly as I strive to develop a consciousness and an awareness of what is stopping us as a group of people from being able to have a greater say-so and power in our own lives. The more I study, the more I learn, the more I know that we got a long way to go. So, a lot of us have not only become ignorant, a lot of us have become arrogantly ignorant, arrogantly ignorant, like, not only I just don't know, but I don't want to know, and F you for trying to make me know, and it makes it very hard, on those who have committed their lives towards studying, towards learning, and wanting to teach what they have discovered. It makes it very hard to deal with large segments of people who have become arrogantly ignorant, who don't want to deal with the responsibility, of letting go of the customs that are rooted in ignorance, the lower things of the flesh, the me first type of mentality that's rooted in the flesh, particularly empowered by the society that we live in, that makes a lot of us believe that in order to have any real worth, any real meaning, you got to have money, you got to have materialistic items and other things. And so a lot of our strivings are to gratify, the lower impulses of the flesh, instead of to rise up into the power, that comes from, the pursuits of higher thoughts, of higher strivings, of knowledge, wisdom, understanding, of being more responsible, for what we commit ourselves to. Family, I say, this is definitely the day. This is definitely the day where more of us have to divorce ourselves from, that ignorance, that lack of knowledge, that lack of power. More of us have to divorce ourselves from that. More of us have to get up and get out and stand on the front lines, not just by what we say, but by, more importantly, by what we do, by the stances that we take. And this is what makes, again, our condition in the society just that much harder to deal with. There are other people who come to this society, other races, other ethnicities, or even, black people, period. Black people who come from the motherland, from the mother continent. Black people who come from Jamaica, from Haiti. Black people who come from Brazil and, Afro-Cubans, basically Puerto Ricans. These are people who are black, but, they have experienced, slavery and racism and colonialism from different colonial powers, European powers, than what we've experienced as English-speaking, black people. But anyway, they come and they look at us and they judge us a lot of times for not being able to rise up out of the condition that we find ourselves in today, having no real understanding of what has continued to knock us down. Malcolm said it best. He said our biggest mistake in the past has been to strive to organize sleeping people around specific goals. He said first you have to wake the people up, and then, you get some change. Wake them up to what? He was asked. To their oppression? He said no, to their own human dignity, to their own self-worth. And he was correct. Family, I say, our human dignity, our self-worth is wrapped up in the very thing that we're seeking to avoid, so many of us. Doing the knowledge, doing the wisdom, doing the understanding, pursuing the truth of our existence, the truth of what has been going on in the society. Our human dignity is wrapped up in that. Our self-worth is wrapped up in that. And because we have this strong aversion to doing the knowledge, doing the wisdom, doing the understanding, seeking truth, we are cut off from regaining that human dignity, that self-worth, that self-agency, that power, and are stuck in powerlessness that is rooted in our ignorance, and we can never, rise up and become politically, empowered, the ability to create policies for ourselves. We can never really come up into collectively, being able to enter into economics, entrepreneurialism, and business. We can never really rise up into taking a stronger measure of say-so over our health and well-being as long as we continue to exist on those lower levels of ignorance, of accepting, mediocrity, apathy, dependency on other people. So it's like even before we can rise up into those practices, those strategies that will take us from powerlessness to being empowered, we first have to begin to deal with the effort to become whole again, to heal ourselves, to regenerate, as human beings, as children of God. And to do that, we got to rise up through the levels of, again, seeking knowledge, wisdom, understanding, truth, you know, family, I'm gonna have to do it. I'm running out of time. I'm gonna have to do a part 2. But I hope that you've benefited from the talk thus far. Peace and blessings.